You've either said it or you heard it. It's not just a watch, it's an investment. And even Patek says, you never actually own a Patek, you merely look after it for the next generation. That's 100% true, but only if you're not talking about money. Because as a financial investment, watches are absolutely horrible. And I'm gonna explain to you why they're horrible investments and how you can actually make them good investments in a slightly different way. Before we dive in, almost 90% of the people who watch the videos aren't actually subscribed. Now, this channel isn't run by a brand or a studio. It's just me, my camera, and a love for telling stories. So if you believe in watches are more than just flexing and flipping, tap that subscribe button. It tells the algorithm that this matters, and it helps me. I really hate asking, but it shows when I ask. It does help. So thank you. Let's get back into the video. To start with, the myth of watches as investments. Let's break this myth wide open. When someone says a watch is a good investment, ask them this. Compared to what? Because if you bought a standard watch, say a $300 Seiko in 2010, it's probably worth less than half that now. But if you'd put that $300 in a total stock market index fund, you'd probably have over $1,200 today. That's a real compound growth. No polishing fees, no servicing costs, no bubble. Now, before the comments fill up, but Rolex, let's actually talk about that. Because I think there is some contrarian beliefs that are worth addressing. I know what some of you are thinking. My Submariner has doubled in value, or their Submariner, I ain't got one of those. Or maybe you're thinking, Speedmasters went up like crazy. If you had owned a Daytona 10 years ago, you'd be rich. And you're right, for some watches that have appreciated. If you even exploded in value, but let's talk about why that happened. Let's go head on with the Rolex Submariner example. Over the past 15 to 20 years, steel Rolex sports models have gone up significantly. Why? There's a few reasons. Because there's going to be the brand scarcity, whether that be real or manufactured. There's a very high demand and a low AD availability. There's a cultural saturation, and Rolex is shorthand for really success. And yes, speculators flooded the market after 2020. But here's the thing, none of that is guaranteed to repeat. Markets change, interest rates go up, and even Rolex prices have dipped hard in 2022 and 2023. Let's go to another brand, Omega, the Speedmaster, particularly the Snoopy edition. The silver Snoopy watches are collector darlings now. Why? Well, for one, they're limited editions tied to historic events. They have a certain space heritage, absolutely beautiful design, and some pretty clever marketing. And most importantly, the limited supply and high story value. These are outliers, not rules. And most Omegas, they still depreciate the moment that you walk out of the boutique. Let's take that same amount of money and do a head-to-head comparison to a total market index fund. First, a watch. Now, mind you, I'm not a financial advisor and don't take financial advice from dudes who talk about watches on the internet, but I think I did put that in there for legal reasons. Let's get serious about an investment claim. We're talking about putting your hard-earned money somewhere that you expected to grow. So let's put them head-to-head. Imagine you have $10,000 today. Option A. Let's do a total stock market index fund in the US, such as VTSAX or FZROX. You invest that $10,000 in a broad index fund that tracks the entire US stock market. Historically, these funds have returned an average around $10,000 per year, sometimes more over long periods, and it's diversified and it requires you no active management from you. It just compounds automatically. Now let's do a projection based on historical returns. In 10 years, assuming an average of 8 to 10% annual return, that $10,000 could easily be worth $21,500 to up to $26,000. And in 20 years, that could be looking at anywhere from $46,000 to $67,000. That is passive, consistent growth based on collective performance of thousands of companies. Now you're thinking, a watch. Let's take a luxury watch. You take that same $10,000 watch, brand new luxury watch that you got a great call from the AD. And let's say it's a popular model with a well-respected brand. Hard to get like a Rolex Daytona, but maybe a new Omega Seamaster, Cartier Tank, maybe a Breitling Chronomat. So that initial drop. The moment that you walk out of the boutique, that watch typically loses 20 to 30% of its value. If you don't believe me, check Reddit and eBay. Because now it's used and the dealer's margin is gone. So now your $10,000 watch is realistically worth $7,000 to $8,000. But you're also gonna have to do some ongoing costs. Unlike a stock certificate, a watch needs to be serviced every 5 to 7 years if you wanna keep it running. So that can cost anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per service if you're lucky. There's also the cost of insurance if you wanna protect your investment. So in the best case, this is still gonna be rare, even if your chosen watch does appreciate over time, it's highly unlikely to match the consistent compounding returns of a diversified index fund. You're really betting on a niche market changing trends and often pure speculation rather than fundamental economic growth. And for every watch that doubles, hundreds and thousands depreciate and hold flat. So when someone tells you a watch is an investment, I don't think so. So yes, there are watches that have gone up in value, but here's the real twist. The most valuable watch I own isn't the one that I appreciate the most. It's the one that I appreciated the most. Let me explain. And you don't need econ textbooks for this one. It's the price on eBay hasn't gone up. It's the amount of memories on that watch that has. Stick with me, okay? Because it isn't just a moment. I'll show you why that the only investment that matters are the ones that you invest into the watch. Let's talk about the hidden cost. The moment that you start buying watches based on resale, you stop buying for yourself. You start chasing what's hot, what the forum said. You worry about scratches, you worry about aging. You treat timepieces like stock portfolios, but a stock doesn't go to your kid one day. A stock doesn't show up on your wedding photos. A stock isn't something that you take on you with special moments. But watches, they weren't made to flip. They were made to follow you through time. Let's go back to the Patek line. You never actually own a watch. You merely look after it for the next generation. That's incredibly powerful. Not because of the market value, but because the legacy isn't built on return. It's built on connection. The scratches on your watch. Yeah, they might lower the resale value, but they raise its story. Every mark is a memory. And one day someone might love and wear it and say, this is my dad's or my mom's. He wore it when they ran this, or they did this business thing, or they had this incredible memory, or their wedding day. Like, that's what is important, and that's what's worth chasing. Stick with me, because in 60 seconds, I'm gonna show you the one time that buying a watch is an investment. Just not the kind that you were expecting when you heard me breaking down the S&P 500. Here's what I believe. A watch becomes an investment when it gives you more time, not more money. More time with your family, more reminders of what matters, more moments of pause and presence. If a $75 Timex helps you slow down and live better, then that's a smarter investment than any stock, any watch place. You take that $7,500 flex piece that you never wear, but you actually start wearing it and you start actually putting memories to it. Now it's truly valuable. So no, do not buy a watch to get rich, but buy one to feel something. Let it mark milestones, let it go on a journey with you. And one day, let it become someone else's reminder of who you were, what you stood for, and what you did. Because the money will fade, but the meaning can stay. If this shifted your thinking, tell me in the comments down below. And what's the one watch in your collection that actually means something to you? And if you want to go deeper into watches that really represent more meaning, check out one of these videos that YouTube thinks might be great for you. But for everything, there's a season, and for every watch a story. Thanks for sharing this one with me. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Peace.